Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Ocean's Pit. Little show about big things today. Black Wednesday, or the day before Thanksgiving. It's going to be, I hope you guys are having a great morning, and I hope you're all getting ready for Thanksgiving with your family and everything. I got my good friend, Chicago's comic, actor, MC, comedian, podcaster. He does it all. Matt Cassane is with us, and you've seen Matt many times with us now. And today, we're going to have a little fun. First, check the website, TonyOceanMusic.com. Give us a call, 847-769-8609 to book a show. Every show is dedicated to the first responders, the men and women in the military, and our veterans who fought for our country. We want to thank you all very much. Today, we're going to talk about November 22nd, 62 years ago today, the 37th President of the United States, John F. Kennedy, was assassinated. And there's so many stories about it, and we're going to talk about a little bit of everything to see what our opinions are and what we think and what we hear. And I hope you guys will join us on this. It's time. It's Ocean's Pit, Seventh Heaven. It's show. Thank you, Richie and the boys from Seventh Heaven. Hey, guys, Ocean's Pit. Here it is. Matt Cassane is in the house here. Today is Wednesday, the 26th of November. Matt, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. I'm anxious to talk about the JFK stuff. Been studying this stuff since I was in fourth, maybe fifth grade, so a long time.
I know, and we've had massive talks about this, and there's more discoveries every time, every year something comes up. There's something new. There's something, and I mean, I just watched a whole bunch of documentaries on it, and it's still fascinating how we still don't know, or maybe we do know. I mean, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different avenues of what could have happened, who might have been involved, and of course, we're going to try to get as much as we can here for the hour. But before we get into that, let's get to business. We're talking about Ace Hardware. Ace is the place. Buy shop local, our good friends from JR's Hardware. Now, this actually starts on the 28th, Black Friday. 25% off Carhartt clothes while supplies last. This year, we went all out in unique, quirky Christmas gifts and stocking stuffers, including the perfect Peds, the lifelike sleeping pet that breathes. They're wonderful companions for seniors and children, providing a lifelike, long ownership, loving relationship experience starting at $35.99. Absolutely, folks. And be sure to stock up on your Christmas decorating supplies with 20% off all Celebration Christmas lightings. Oh, and so much more, folks. Don't forget, get a free $10 gift card when you purchase a $50 gift card. That is 2 per limit. That is Ace. Buy local, shop local, helping neighbors before they were neighborhoods. Tonight, folks, will be at Positano's in Oak Brook. Supposed to be the busiest bar day of the year. And at my age, the last couple of years now, it's been slammed, wall to wall. They're still out, and it's always been the last 3 years we have been at Positano's in Oak Brook. It'll be Jerry Jams and Lisa Pete tonight. Tomorrow, Black Friday, will be at Chicago Prime Steakhouse in Schaumburg with Jerry Jams. And Saturday, we'll be at Bellagio in Roselle with the main event band, Tony Toto, Danny Raimondi, and Christian Knievel. Of course, the daughter of Robbie Knievel and the granddaughter of Evel Knievel. It's going to be a great show this Saturday, Bellagio, 7:30, Roselle. Matt Cassane, before we get into Kennedy, what have you got? Last time you were on the show, we did a whole special on Ace Frehley, the death of Ace Frehley of KISS. Yeah. What have you been up to, buddy?
Well, since then, I think we talked about KISS's 50th reissue a box set of Dress to Kill back then. And since then, last week they reissued Kiss Alive, a whole new super box set.
So what are they adding to that? New songs or just, I mean, what are they adding? I mean, I think we talked about this rehashing of the same shit over and over and over again. Like to make you go out and buy it, like the new Beatles anthology. What could they have possibly put on there that we don't have already?
Yeah, exactly. I think Paul and Gene put their bar mitzvah videos up when they were kids. I don't know. So
that could be it. That could be it. What about you personally? What are you up to? What is Matt Hussein up to? Anything? Any commercials? Any TV? Anything happening soon?
I'm going to be this Friday, Black Friday. I'm going to be down at the Illinois Rock and Roll Museum. Me and my buddy Andy are going to be Jake and Elwood. It's going to be a very special event. So go on their Facebook page, the Illinois Rock and Roll Museum, to find out more about it. Because to be quite honest with you, I just got this, and I'm not 100% sure what I'm doing there. They just said, "Can you do the Blues Brothers from 11 to 2 this Friday?" I'm like, "I'll be there."
Yeah, well, you know, you do. Like I said, if you're just joining us and you've seen Matt for the first time, Matt does Chris Farley, #1 Chris Farley impersonator. He does President Donald Trump. He does Da Bears. He does the Blues Brothers and David Letterman and so much more. Great comics, been in a lot of TV shows. All right, Matt, a couple things we got to real fast. One of the great reggae musicians. We lost the great Jimmy Cliff just a couple days ago at the age of 81. Jimmy Cliff was very involved with the Rolling Stones in the 70s. Mick and Keith and Ronnie Wood were big reggae Jimmy Cliff fans. If you listen to the Black and Blue album that they did when Ronnie Wood just first joined the band, there was a lot of Jimmy Cliff influence and reggae influence. He died. Also, Chicago radio legend, part of it, Eddie and Jobo. Jobo has passed away at the age of 70 years old. And I did mention this yesterday briefly. I never really listened to those two guys. The music they were playing. I really didn't know much about them except their commercial for insurance, whatever they did. But that's all I really know anything about him. I met Eddie, of course, his father, great Mr. Volkman. I met Eddie a few times, and great guy. I didn't know Jobo for anything, but our prayers go out to Joe. But did you ever deal with them guys when you were in coming up doing your stuff, man?
I did. I actually, about 12 years ago, they shot one of their United Auto Insurance commercials at Yorktown Mall in Lombard, and I was. Yeah. These are back in the days where I was in my "I'll do anything to be on TV" mode, and so I went down there and I sang the jingle. Would you like to hear it?
Yes.
United Auto Insurance 777. Yeah, that one. Yeah, so I got up there and sang it like a complete fool, you know, in the mall.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And the two girls. That when the girls come on, go look at those low rates.
What was that?
Two girls. All right. Remember the two girls come out at the end of the commercial. They say something about look at those low rates or something.
Yes.
Remember the two girls, whatever that was in the commercial.
Well, that wasn't that. Those were pretty cheap. Those were pretty cheesy local auto insurance commercials. But still, the best one of all time is the Eagle Man with the guy in the car, the giant eagle on the car.
Yeah. Yeah. That one was very good. You're watching Ocean Spit, little show about big things, folks. Matt Hussein is joining us, and we're going to talk about JFK. 62 years ago, November 22nd, 1963, our 37th president, John F. Kennedy, was assassinated, Dealey Plaza in Dallas, Texas. Man, we can go anywhere on this. We're going to start off. Let's start off with probably one of the reasons why they hated the Kennedys in the first place, Father Joe Kennedy. I mean, if you're going to go back, that's where it all started. Correct, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, there's a long history of Kennedy stories going back to the 30s and the 40s with Joe Kennedy. You hear varying things. He was a bootlegger. He was rubbing elbows with the mob. He was a film producer out in Hollywood. He dated. Thank you very much. Happy Thanksgiving. Good to see you again. Sorry about that. I just want, before I forget to tell you, the first time I ever really got a deep dive into the JFK assassination, was in 1975, Geraldo Rivera had a television show called Good Night America. It was on ABC. So it was like, the night before Good Morning America would come on in the morning.
Yeah,
Geraldo had
right.
a short-lived TV show very late at night. It might have been on at midnight. It was called Good Night America. And they had a whole JFK conspiracy assassination episode. And they showed the very first public showing of the Abraham Zapruder assassination film. And I stayed up. I snuck downstairs. I was supposed to be in bed because it was school night, and I stayed up I was 9, maybe 10 years old at the very most, and I stayed up late and I watched that. So I saw the actual execution of JFK when I was a young kid, and that got me into it, and that not to mention the fact that I grew up in an Irish Catholic family, and my grandparents especially just loved Jack Kennedy. I mean, anything having to do with the Kennedys, just being Irish Catholic, and they hated my grandma Mary would start talking about JFK and the assassination, and then she would start talking about Lee Harvey Oswald, and she would start to clench her fists, and she'd be like, "Oh, that Oswald!" She would just get crazy. That son of a gun. He took her president.
Yeah. And a lot of people felt that way. And of course, Jack Ruby shoots as well. And we're going to get into that as well.
From Chicago.
Yeah. From Chicago. That's absolutely right. Okay. Where to start? We're going to start. I'm going to throw a couple words at you, and you're going to take it from there and tell me what you think. Multiple shooters is one thing that always comes up in the conversation when it comes to the assassination and the magic bullet. The way it went through here, out there, the neck, of course, Kennedy, Governor Connolly. Do you believe, and we don't have to get into it, do you believe there was multiple shooters, or do you think it was just all Oswald?
It's such a tough thing to answer. We could spend like 4 days talking about this, man. I actually went down to Dealey Plaza about 25 years ago, and I walked around the plaza. I went to the 6th floor school book depository museum. You can look out the window. You could see the actual, like where the bullet came from up on the 6th floor all the way. You could, you just walk around, you go behind the picket fence. So after analyzing all these things for all these years, me personally, I want to say that the most likely story is that Oswald was in the Marine Corps, and he was a sharpshooter. So he had experience shooting at moving targets, okay? And he had a rifle that he kept in his garage, okay? Now, the morning of the assassination, he got into his car, and he had a package that he was carrying, and his friend, this Buell Frazier guy, comes and picks him up, right? And he asks Lee, talking to Oswald, "Lee, what are you doing with that package? What is that?" And he said, "It's curtain rods." Okay, so he gets in. The assassination takes place. They capture Oswald, and they find out where he lives, and they get a hold of his wife. And she's like, "Lee had a gun in the garage," and she goes and she tells him exactly where it was. They go into the garage, and it was wrapped up in a blanket. Okay, so you couldn't see it, so it was concealed. They open up the blanket that morning, and there's no gun. Okay. Also, that same morning, Lee Harvey Oswald left all of his belongings, his wedding ring. He had like $200 to his.
Yeah, didn't he leave the ring in her coffee? So when she drank the coffee at the end of the cup, there was a ring in from the story. One of the stories I heard.
Well, I think that's how maybe that's how he proposed to her. But this was like when the morning of the assassination, he took off his ring and left it on his dresser. Okay. Because he had been estranged from his wife. They had separated. He had moved out, and he was living in a boarding house, and she moved into some friend's house. So anyway, he left his ring and all his money. He had $200 that he took out of his bank account, left it on the dresser. Anyway, so all that, if you look at all that, then it's obvious that Oswald, maybe if he was acting alone, I don't think we're ever going to know.
Well, I knew, we know that Oswald was involved. I just want to know if there was two other people, like the 3 shots from the grassy knoll, And then there was something that just came out now. If you just noticed it, Matt, it was just on social media. I just read a little article. Somebody believes that one of the drivers, the third final shot, was from the front. He was shot from the front of one of the drivers. I mean, wow! And wouldn't Jackie Kennedy know if it was the guy in the front? She would have seen that, if that
Yeah,
even is possible. So we
that's
don't know that.
yeah,
Uh,
that's almost impossible for a guy driving to stick the gun like that and shoot a guy and get off,
yeah,
pick up. I mean, he was right there, but that's highly unlikely. There's another conspiracy theory that the Secret Service guys were right behind Kennedy in a car, and they had these weapons. They had these, like, semi-automatic machine gun weapons, and they say that one of the guys tripped, he like stumbled and shot, and that's how the headshot came off. I mean, these are all kind of like crazy made up conspiracy things to keep the whole thing rolling.
to
But
keep it going.
but
Yeah,
there's one thing that sort of like squashes Oswald doing it by himself that doesn't make any sense, and that is almost everybody that was part of, not everybody, but a lot of the people that watched the assassination and had something to do with some part of the assassination, a good percentage of them within 5 years of the assassination died mysteriously. A car accident, a karate chop, heart attacks from people that were in perfect health, like just out of nowhere. And the statistics show that, like, it was like 1 in 100 trillion chances of all these people dying mysterious deaths.
Yeah, it's almost like the Clintons and the Obama chefs that all disappear, and they're all, and the Clintons chef or an Obama chef, they all committed suicide. Almost that way. But I understand where you're coming from. Anyway, it's Ocean Spit. We're talking about the JFK assassination. I want to say happy early birthday to my good friend Carol Minotti and my good friend Jill Willman. Hi, happy birthday. Anthony Melchioti is watching. All they had to do was have him shoot a moving target, and when he couldn't hit the target after 3 shots, it's over. He had no sniper training, especially on a moving target. Whoever explained the shot from the front that entered the front of his throat. Now, they also said the Italian gun that supposedly it was a cheap gun that he did purchase.
Yeah.
There's so many stories. The magic bullet, how it went in and came out, did a disco dance and through the arm. And it's kind of crazy how, and then the grassy knoll,
Well,
but if you're going to go out,
another crazy conspiracy that I've heard over the years is that Lee Harvey Oswald is the bastard son of Jack Ruby. Now, just before you completely dispel it, I know it sounds completely ridiculous, but the timeline adds up. And Jack, when he was a younger guy, he was wild and he got around. Same with Oswald's mom. And it's totally possible. And if you look at the two guys side by side, if you look at their pictures side by side, they have very, very similar features. They have the upside down smile. They have the receding dark hairline. I mean, just look at them right next to each other. I swear to God, it's uncanny.
And I wouldn't put it past it. It could be because in one of the shows I was watching, they asked why Jack Ruby shot him. First of all, everybody thinks it was because to silence him. Another one of the comments that Jack Ruby said in prison was he wants to show people that the Jews were tough people.
Yeah,
this was Jack Ruby's quote. You heard about that too. Boyd, the Warren Carrara report. No, that Warren report too is a bunch of crap. I mean, anyway, we're going to get some more stories here. We're talking about the magic bullet, the grassy knoll. Do we know that do we believe that Oswald was doing it? Yes. Guaranteed. I just didn't think he acted alone. That I do not. And look, with all the people that could not stand him, Kennedy, let's start off with Castro. I mean, right there alone, they tried to kill Castro. Castro couldn't stand Kennedy. I mean, but it could have been a combined. It could have
Well,
been
that
one
was
time.
yeah, the Castro connection. Castro and the Cubans didn't like JFK because of the Bay of
Correct.
Pigs
According
fiasco.
to CIA too.
But there is one little crazy story that most people do not know about, unless you're a complete nut job like me and you follow like everything. And in April of '63, 7 months before the Kennedy assassination, Oswald allegedly tried to take out a U.S. military general while the guy was sitting in his house in his front room or dining room having dinner. He went outside, stood across the street, brought his rifle, took a shot. It went through the glass window and it nicked the guy's ear. Okay, and there's newsreels showing this. You know, I forgot the guy's name. I forgot the general's name, but Oswald just hated this guy, said he was a fascist and all this other stuff.
Do we ever find out why Kennedy assassinated? We never found out what his reasoning. What did he have against Kennedy?
Who, Oswald?
Yeah.
What did Oswald? My opinion is that Lee Harvey Oswald was really trying hard to be noticed, to become famous. Okay, and he defected to Russia. Okay, and he married his wife, brought her back here. When he got off the plane in America, when he and his wife got off the plane, he was really upset that there weren't a ton of media and reporters there to interview him. He was just like, why is this? There should be like, 30 or 40 reporters, here waiting for me. And nobody showed up. Nobody was there at all.
Yeah.
So I think he was really trying to get, noticed. And, him shooting at the general didn't get him anything. So he's just like, well, and a lot of people thought that he was trying to kill John Connally, the governor of Texas.
Correct. I mean, but if you think about it too, I mean, okay, so the CIA, the Bay of Pigs, the whole Kennedy screw up with that. I mean, even the Johnson and the Kennedys could not stand each other. He could not stand John F. Kennedy. And I'm sure he killed him. I'm sure he must have killed him to sit back and be a vice president to John F. Kennedy. I mean, if anybody knew about it, and of course, we'll never know the answer, we'll never know the truth. Could Johnson known something about this? I don't think he planned it, but he could have known something was going to happen. Even it was or some of the stories I hear too. Very good, Boyd. Good point, Mike. Mark David Chapman and Lee Harvey Oswald, Catcher in the Rye. I mean, if you're listening to the similarities, yeah, good point, Boyd. You makes it wonder. I mean, the hate they had for each other. I mean, you think he had any clue, or did the CIA was involved and they all knew? Isn't it true? Like they were supposed to put the top on the back of that car, but they didn't put the top because it was a nice day. If they would have put the top on that car, they might have got the 2 hits. They might have paralyzed Kennedy, but it never made that third shot might have not hit him and killed him.
Well, allegedly, the night before the assassination, there was a party at a big oil tycoon's house down in Texas that Johnson was at, and all these other dignitaries, including FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover. He was supposedly at this event, and Johnson was going around telling everybody tomorrow is going to be the end of the Kennedys. They are not going to F with me anymore. Because the Kennedys used to make fun of Johnson, man. They didn't take him seriously at all. They did not like the guy. So, I mean, there was this whole party, and Johnson had a girlfriend, not his wife now. He had a girlfriend that he was hanging out with. And he told,
yes.
There you go. He told his girlfriend that tomorrow, watch what happens. No more Kennedys.
And that's how his name gets brought up in this whole whatchamacallit. And then, of course, the mafia. Sam Giancana, Carlos Marcello, Joe Kennedy supposedly had a meeting with Frank Sinatra. Frank Sinatra said he can get some votes with Giancana, Mayor Daley. I mean, he won by the lowest amount, right? Did he win by 1% or something, the presidency?
By
He probably would have
100,000
not
votes,
won it.
100,000
Yeah.
votes. Yeah.
If it wasn't for Daley and Giancana and the union here in Chicago, I don't think he would have been president, right, Matt?
He had a lot of support in Chicago. You know, back in those days, Chicago was the second largest city in America. And, you know, Daley took care of the politics. And the guys you're talking about, Sam Giancana and all those other guys, they took care of a lot of other stuff. They were, you know, running Chicago and they were running Vegas. And so they had a lot of power. They had a lot of clout. So pretty much anything that they wanted to get done back in those days, especially, they, you know, all it took was a phone call or two, and it was done.
You know, the story that we all hear, of course, the meeting was there. Let's get behind John. Will be ever for grateful if you make and help this and make my son president of the United States. So the mafia thinks, okay, let's get this happen. Let's make this happen. Let's get president. Now they'll stop bothering us. We can continue our business doing what they're doing. And then, of course, John F. Kennedy becomes president of the United States. Then, of course, assigns his brother, Robert. And the first thing Robert does is put a war against Jimmy Hoffa and, of course, the mafia. What the hell? You shot the, you know, you how can these people be that ignorant to think that wasn't for us, this president man would never been president of the United States. And now he's going to have his brother try to take the mafia down. We know the whole story.
Those hearings, though, were going on back years before Kennedy even became president. I think there was a guy named Kefauver. I can't remember. And he ran some trials against organized crime. You know, he had a lot of the guys from New York and Chicago and Hoffa come in. And but I tell you one little story that 99% of Americans have never heard this. There is an NBC News special bulletin report right after the assassination happened, within 5 minutes. Okay. So it happened at 12:30. It's just like from 12:35, 12:40. And it was an NBC special bulletin on the radio only. And it was only broadcast like this once. And the reporter said that the shooter was seen running behind a picket fence, which is the fence on the grassy knoll,
Right.
running off into the distance over some train tracks. Okay, somebody saw some guy running that way. And after that very, very first report, it was never said again. There was never said again. Now, that to me is something that sounds to me like a cover-up. Okay, the original report. Okay, nothing about a guy shooting from a 6-story in a building. He was behind the fence and he took off and he ran like crazy and he jumped over the train tracks and ran off into the distance or whatever.
And he could have been one of those bums dressed up that usually you see these bums that are, remember the whole thing where they said, even in the JFK movie, you've seen some of those bums dressed up, but they had dress shoes on. They were bums, but they had dress shoes on. So that kind of gives it away. Tony, welcome to the show, buddy. Oswald had a single load bolt action rifle. How could he get 3 shots off so accurately in such a short time? Then Klein Gun Store on Madison had a fire and destroyed all the records and closed down.
Yeah.
Good point, Tony. Thank you so much for that, for your input. Yeah, all the stuff that's happening afterwards, the people dying, mysterious deaths. Good point, Tony. Very good point. Another one that we're forgetting about completely is the USSR, Russia, the Cold War, the whole thing with Kennedy there. Do you believe that John F. Kennedy, the Kennedys actually believed that they won the presidency because they were the Kennedys? Do you really think that having Robert Kennedy go after the mob was a smart move? Even though John Kennedy was good friends with the Sinatra and the boys and the whole Marilyn Monroe thing.
Well, they, again, allegedly, JFK and Sam Giancana sort of shared girlfriends.
I'll tell you another quick story that some people might not know. If you went to the boy, and I can't forget the name of the place. It was the casino, the Cal Neva, which is a
Yes.
casino owned, half called Cal Neva because half of it was in California, half of it was in Las Vegas. Supposedly, Frank Sinatra had a piece of it. Dean Martin had a piece of it. Sam Giancana had a piece of it. Years later, I remember performing at that theater, but at this Frank Sinatra theater, and there's in the lounge. Years later, they opened the underground walkway and they opened it to the public. I went to it. You can go underneath, and that's where they said that allegedly Sinatra would come in with Marilyn Monroe, Giancana would come in with different ladies, blah blah blah. So nobody in the public would see him and stuff like that. Boy, Dorothy Kelley mysteriously died from knowing too much about the assassination. Good point. Dorothy Kelley, the reporter, also Sinatra couldn't stand her from the report that she did. We all heard about that. I went there a couple years ago. Daily Plaza to pick the pick offense on the grassy knoll is perfect vantage point for a sniper. Patrick, how you doing, buddy? I hope you're doing well. Ronnie B. Yeah, so a lot of hate there for these two, for this Kennedy family. Do you think that do you think it was wise for him to put Bobby in charge to try to put down the mafia?
I don't really think JFK was paying much attention to Bobby. I think he just wanted to get him a job. Bobby didn't really have any experience at that high level of the government. And well, there's an old news clip. You know, they asked JFK, "It's like, why are you giving your brother this job? He's got no experience in law enforcement." And then JFK said some smart ass thing. Well, now he's going to.
Yeah, there you go. And right, it makes a lot of sense. You're watching Ocean's Pit, little show about big things. We are with Matt Cassane, Chicago comic actor. We're going to be talking a little bit more about the JFK assassination 62 years ago on November 22nd, 1963. JFK was assassinated. It's time for the weather, if we can. Brought to you by the JRC Ace Hardware Store, bringing you the weather today for Wednesday, Black Wednesday. The 26th of November, 33 degrees, 64 humidity out there, 22-mile-an-hour winds, rain, about 20% chance of rain between 4, 5, and 6 tonight, folks. Looks like we might even get some snow and high winds tonight and some snow on the Thanksgiving Day weekend. That's the weather brought to you by the JRC Ace Hardware. Buy local, shop local, helping neighbors before they were neighborhoods. Matt Cassane is with us, folks. We're talking about, all right. Now, going in, why did they pick Dallas? They hated
this was the third. Texas. This was the third attempt. There were two other plots. The first one was in Florida. There was going to be an assassination attempt in Florida, and the FBI and the Secret Service guys found out about it, and so they canceled JFK's trip in the motorcade there. And then in October, a month before the assassination, they were going to go to Chicago and they were going to shoot him there. And that got canceled because it was found out. The guy that was going to do it got caught and they busted him. And he was sort of a nut job loner like Oswald. And so they squashed that, you know, and then everything came together down in Texas because, you know, Lyndon Johnson had so much power and he was from Texas. He can, you know, control everything, every aspect of law enforcement down there, and, you know, scale back the police presence. There was hardly any police there at all that day. And there was like 100,000 people at the parade. There should have been like thousands of cops all over the place, and there was hardly any at all.
No, and you know, he was hated in Texas. They didn't think he had a chance to win in Dallas. And I guess one of his last words, 80% of the people nearby said this was his last words. Like someone said, they can't make you believe now that you're not liked here in Dallas. They love you. And supposedly his last words was, no, they sure can't. That was supposedly Kennedy's last words before he was assassinated.
Another just a little thing here. It's not much, but you know, we were talking about the Beatles anthology is coming out today on Disney Plus, so everybody should check that out, especially if you're a Beatle fan. I know our buddy Albert Percoco is going to be watching that, and they released a the anthology part 4 came out last week, and it's fantastic. If you're a Beatle fan, you're going to love it. But here's a little trivia for you. On November 22nd, 1963, With the Beatles was released in Europe and the UK only, and then it came out 2 months later here in America, retitled Meet the Beatles.
Meet the Beatles, yeah, on that same day, right, in 63. Interesting stuff for you Beatle fans out there. We're talking also about the screw up, the autopsy, Parkland Hospital, the doctors, some of the medical stuff. They kind of screwed that all up. You hear about that whole medical problem there. What do you think? What's your take on that? How they all handled everything? Even wasn't there a report somewhere that I read that in Russia, like hours before Kennedy was assassinated, they said that the president was dead already. You heard about something like this?
Okay, as far as the autopsy goes, I mean, allegedly it was supposed to be done in Texas. When somebody's killed in Texas, you're supposed to have an autopsy there. So they pretty much, the Secret Service guys for Kennedy said, no, we're bringing him back to Washington. We're going to have it done by an admiral at the naval base. So that's where they had it done. They stole the body, basically, is what happened. Right. And then what was the last thing you said, Mo? You said? What was that?
About that, supposedly there was an article in Russia or something saying that
Russia
was dead even before he was dead.
Here's another crazy story. Tons of crazy stories. There is an urban legend that a woman called. What was it? She called some news organization like 20 minutes before the assassination. And she said, President Kennedy is going to be shot in 10 minutes. And you need to get the cops down there. You need to stop the parade. You need to get them to, get them home, get them back to Washington, get them out of Texas, that whole thing. And she was on the phone with this operator. I don't remember who she called for the life of me, but she was calling from a phone. They wanted to keep her on the phone so they could trace the phone. They could trace the call. Back then, you could trace calls. She was calling from somewhere in California. Now, the woman they think it was calling was a lady by the name of Cookie Kupcinet, Irv Kupcinet's daughter. And she was an actress, and she lived in California. She was not very famous, but she was on the Twilight Zone and the Ponderosa show and the Bonanza. So she had little parts, okay? And she was sort of known as being a loose cannon, a little wacky, okay? Now, this is another story that you got to watch. Go on YouTube and type in Cookie Kupcinet JFK assassination. This is mind-blowing. They think that she's the one who called in. Now, before you say anything else, one last thing about this whole situation. She mysteriously died under circumstances very similar to Marilyn Monroe a week later. A week later. Yeah. Now, she had a lot of mental health issues, okay? But she did not seem suicidal. So, again, that's a whole other story. And another thing that comes back to Chicago. And if you know anything about Irv Kupcinet was like Mr. Chicago for decades.
He was the guy when it came to media. I agree with you. And that's interesting story. Kathy Ippolito, how you doing, my friend? Ryan Lewis, Peter Prado, Emo from Florida. How you guys all doing? Welcome to Ocean Spit. We're discussing, of course, with Chicago comic actor Matt Cassane about the JFK assassination 62 years ago on the 22nd of November, 1963. Interesting story how they handled all that. And it's mind-boggling how we still don't know the real answer, even though 80%, they said 80% people still believe that Oswald did not act alone. All right, so he gets arrested. Supposedly he shoots the police officer, Officer Tippin. That's why he thought he got arrested. He looked like he didn't have no clue what was going. That's why when you look at some of these, the way he was interviewed or whatever it was, looks like he really had no clue that he shot the president of the United States. And I'm just a pansy. What about that came out of his mouth?
Well, here, whether or not, and again, I don't think we're ever going to know what really happened. Most of the people from back in those days have passed away. But when they captured Oswald, he was in a movie theater called the Texas Movie Theater, which I've been to before.
Yeah.
And it's a small little theater, very, very tiny. He went in there to hide out. Why is he hiding? They knew what was going on. He had a pistol on him. Okay. Cops came in, they surrounded
Well, he
Oswald.
shot the cop. That's why. Yeah, but you shot the
No,
cop. That's why he's hiding.
He shot the cop. That's why he was hiding. But he still had the pistol on him in the movie theater. The cops came and surrounded him. Okay. He pulled out the pistol in the movie theater and he yells, "This is it." And he starts to point at one of the cops. The cop was smart enough to realize he was going to start shooting them. And he grabbed the pistol, and then, an altercation began. They punched him. Then they arrested him.
Okay, so there you go. But what about the comment, Boyd? Wait, was it be kind to one another? Cuppington had been strangled. Her death was ruled a homicide. Wow. Okay, so that cookie was strangled. All right, there you go. All right, but then why did he say, "I'm just a patsy"? Why would Oswald say that?
Again, he may have known when this whole thing started going down and the police started running into the Texas School Book Depository that they were coming for him. And even if he did or didn't do it, he knew they were going to try to get him and they were going to arrest him, whether he did it or not. He was pinned as the lone. He was pinned as the lone nut. He had built up a reputation for himself. He had several suicide attempts, especially when he was in Russia. He tried killing himself several times. So I mean, everybody knew this guy was a local kook.
Okay, local kook. Let's take away that he did not shoot the police officer. Say he never shot Tippit.
There's no way. There's no way to know.
Nobody would have been looking for him, right?
They had half a dozen witnesses see Tippit, the cop, get shot.
Yes.
Almost every one of the people that were questioned that saw him get shot said that Oswald was the guy. There was one, maybe two people that couldn't positively identify him.
Absolutely, we understand it. But what if he never did shoot Tippin? What if he never shot the officer, Oswald? You think they ever would have caught him?
That's a speculative thing. I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
It makes
he had a chance to get away. He had a chance to get away because they didn't shut down all the airports yet. He could have jumped on a plane and gone to Tijuana.
Good point. Very good point there. And then, of course, he gets arrested and they take him down. Now, remember, I was watching one of the programs, the car that was supposed to take Ruby backing up into the back over there where they're supposed to get him. The crowd was so big, they couldn't get the car in fast enough to get him to escort him out of the they said if they would have got him in to that car fast enough, Jack Ruby never would have got there in time to shoot him. It also makes you wonder how Ruby even got back there so easily. Even though he knew the cops. He knew the cops. He had the strip joint. He knew the strip joint they all used to hang out at.
They all knew Jack Ruby down there. They all knew him.
And his purpose, like I said, one of the comments was he wanted to show people that the Jewish, that his faith were not that were tough people. That's why his real reasoning for shooting Oswald. I guess when he heard about it, he was in his underwear with his cat watching on television. I guess one of his dancers needed some money, right? Do you hear that? So he went down to get her some money, and that's the only reason why he got up. If she didn't ask for money, he might have never got out and shot him.
Well, okay, I'm just going to say this again. There have been guys that have researched Ruby, and they've done nothing else for 60 years. They've researched Ruby, and Ruby was like, I think, $40,000 in debt to the IRS. So he was a sinking ship himself. Everything that he put his hands on, including his strip clubs, failed. I mean, this may have been a last attempt to save himself and become, if not famous, infamous. And the whole world would now know Jack Ruby because he tried hard, like Oswald, to become famous. He was a singing waiter in Hollywood. at one of those restaurants. I mean, he wanted to be a famous guy.
And let's remember, people think he was the mob ordered him to go in and silence Oswald. He had nothing to do with the mob. Some of the mob guys might have came into his strip joint in Texas, but he had no dealings with them. Am I correct from what we hear?
I've heard various stories that he did have something to do, but I mean, who knows? And there's no way to prove it. It's not like it's like the movie Casino when Jimmy, the guy who was going to go to Vegas with his girlfriend, and he tells the guys at the dinner, he goes, "I'm going to start keeping receipts or keeping records of how much money I'm spending in Vegas." And the boss goes, "No. Remember that? Remember that scene?"
Yeah.
They don't keep records, especially back then. They don't keep receipts and records.
Not at all. And then, of course, the problem, another thing that people have, and we're going to talk about this, why wait so long, Matt, to release all the documents? If it was just a clean-cut case with Oswald shooting the president of the United States, even when the JFK movie came out, at the end of the movie, it will not be released till 2022, whatever the hell it was. Why wait to release all the documents if there wasn't some sort of cover-up?
Well, I've heard that, some of the people that may have known more than they let on were afraid for their families being lynched, that kind of thing. Some of the guys were still alive and, they were just afraid. And by the way, going back real fast, we were talking about 10 minutes ago, we were talking about the tramps and the hobos that were on that train. Do you realize that one of those guys was Woody Harrelson's father?
I did not know that. You see this? A lot of information.
Look that up. This is fascinating. Here's another guy that supposedly may have been one of the shooters. Woody Harrelson's father was a right-wing operative, and he hung out with that the guy Hunt that was supposedly in on the whole Watergate thing. This guy, look up here. I don't remember his first name, but it's Woody Harrelson's father. Look this guy up. This guy is a piece of work.
Interesting stuff we're getting here. My good friend Matt is saying, Mary Lewis, how are you doing? Ricky Stokes, what's up, buddy? They killed Kennedy because one of the main reasons is he was going to reveal that we are not alone in the universe. Marilyn Monroe was going to hold a press conference on what both Kennedys told her about the Roswell crash in 1947.
I've never heard that. I've never heard that one. So that's good, though. I like that.
Interesting. That is
good. That
is good, Ricky. I mean, like I said, we're never going to know. Vince Amore, great entertainer in the house in Chicago. How you doing, Vince?
Vince.
Very interesting stuff that we're going to hear, and waiting so long. And when you've seen the JFK movie and you've seen so many documentaries, I mean, there's one all the time. You can go back.
I got to put this out there. This out there. Now, a guy that you and I both adore and love, who's been in so many great Martin Scorsese films, Joe Pesci, is in the movie JFK. He plays a guy named David Ferrie. Now, correct. How in God's name Joe Pesci did not get nominated for an Oscar for that performance, I will never know. He was great in everything else he did.
Fantastic.
He was so good in Goodfellas and Casino and Raging Bull and all these other great films. But his performance in JFK, he steals every scene. Oh, my God. You just can't wait for the next scene that he's in. It's just watch JFK all over again and just keep pay close attention to Joe Pesci.
Pesci's part was great. Tommy Lee Jones's part was great. Also, who played one of the guys that they all hung out together in that same type of party.
Sissy Spacek.
Yeah. What about Tommy Lee Jones was good in that. Sissy Spacek. Well, Donald Sutherland just played himself. I thought he did a great job too. Be kind to one another says hobo JFK shooting likely refers to the 3 hobos or tramps arrested shortly after the assassination of Kennedy, which occurred. Okay, there you go. Thank you. Be kind to one another. Stella, how you doing from Florida? I hope you're doing well. So you're looking back with all the documentaries and everything like that. Oliver Stone, I think they took some shit when they were thinking about putting out this movie. I think the movie was fantastic. And I think they covered both. They covered different scenarios of who could have killed Kennedy. What was your take on the Oliver Stone JFK movie?
It was fascinating. I mean, it's 3.5 hours of brilliant filmmaking. Whether or not half of it's true or accurate, again, a lot of people think that Oliver Stone was, just kind of not making it up, but expanding upon the truth, maybe embellishing some of the actual facts. But another thing I completely forgot. I should have had notes. I'm sorry, man.
That's all right.
There's a book by Richard Belzer, the actor, the comedian.
The comedian.
He
Okay.
wrote this fascinating book about 10 years ago about all the witnesses that were mysteriously killed after JFK died. And he took it very seriously, and it wound up on the New York Times bestseller. And he was still a famous actor when this book came out. And but that's a whole you got to watch some of the interviews that he did when this book came out. I think it was around the late 2000s, early 2010s. I forgot the name of it. Can't remember the name of it.
Richard Belzer, comic. Well, he's also on one of those police shows, right? Forgot the name of the show he was on. Law and Order.
CSI. I think it was CSI.
CSI or something. Yeah. You can check it out. And we're never going to know. Now, supposedly, John Travolta is making a movie right now playing Johnny
Roselli,
who was part of supposedly the conversation that one of them, I don't know who they were talking to, we shot the wrong brother or we killed the wrong brother. Some sort of comment that you heard about this conversation that was recorded. Did you hear anything about this?
No, but okay, here's a crazy story. Again, it's by a guy named James Files. He spent a lot of time in jail over the years. He originally had a military background. He claims that he was one of the shooters behind the fence. And he's got a very impressive storyline. Again, now, who knows if it's true? We're probably never going to ever find out. Originally from Chicago, he watch his interviews. Listen, there's a podcast. It's several hours long. They interviewed this guy, and he talks about meeting Chucky Nicoletti in Melrose Park, the summer of 1963 at the Harlow Grill. And that's when they approached him to become part of this whole scenario. James Files, watched that interview. Holy crap, dude.
That's what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm trying to say with all these different stories and all these different people. It's almost like, and I hate to say this, people are going to laugh because the whole Bigfoot thing, so many people have seen Bigfoot, so many people have seen it, whatever. But the problem is there's so many people out there, and it's the same thing here with the story of the JFK. There's so many people that have different, and some of them are pretty, like you said, this guy here, interesting story. Almost you can go back to the movie The Irishman when you heard that, what's his name, Sherman just made all that shit up. He never killed Hoffa. From one side, if you hear from people that were close to the Hoffa community. So it makes you realize we're never going to know, unfortunately. But you would think now, Matt, with all the social media now and all the way we can find out about everything, that we would have not found out. It's almost like the Epstein's files. Okay? I know they're throwing Clinton under the bus, and obviously there's still nothing about Donald Trump, but if there was, it would have been out there. Anything that was real bad. But the point I'm trying to say is, with the technology and everything that we have now, why can't we still find out who killed Kennedy? Why can't we still find out who's on these Epstein files? Why? Because I believe that the people on the Epstein files and the people with the Kennedy people are all Hollywood something entwined.
Maybe could be. I do remember one time years ago. It may have been on like the 30th anniversary of the JFK assassination. And it was the funniest thing I've ever seen about this situation. Obviously, it's not true. And they said it was the National Enquirer, and they said that Bigfoot was one of the shooters.
Yeah. And it's funny because that's one of the things I was going to talk about. It's funny. I remember the only fake news that we ever heard before growing up as kids was the National Enquirer or the Star. That
Yeah.
was when we only found out anything that was fake news. Matt, we're never going to find out, but I'm interested with Travolta, this Johnny Roselli movie. I think it's going to be kind of cool to find out
Yeah.
another interesting point of a perspective on what could have happened
Yeah.
on November 22nd, 1963 in Dallas, Texas, with the assassination of John F. Kennedy. And then, of course, Robert Kennedy getting killed later. That's why you knew Ted Kennedy would never run,
Yeah.
because he probably would have got assassinated too. But then, of course, the whole bridge thing with him and the thing in Boston. But there you go. So, there you go. Be kind to one another. President Johnson was a major player. I don't know. After what I hear, how much hate they had for each other, nothing would surprise me. Nothing would surprise me if their own government killed their own guy.
Could be. So anyway, here's some names for everybody as a wrap up here. Cookie Cupsonet, look her up. Woody Harrelson's dad, forgot his name. James Files, look him up. And then check out that and if you could find it, try to find the Richard Belzer book.
And of course, Richard Belzer was on the Law and Order. Thank you, Karen, for saying that. Law and Order, Richard Belzer. Thank you, Matt Cassane, for all your time, brother. Always nice to bring you on. And where can they see you? Anywhere else? Anywhere live they can see you coming up? Anything coming up, Matt? If they want to book you, how do they get a hold of Matt Cassane?
If you want to book Matt Cassane for your upcoming Christmas party, let's say you're having a Christmas party and everybody in the office is just a dud, okay? And you need to liven it up a little bit. You call me. I'll put on the old Chris Farley costume, come in there and motivate the crowd for you. 708-606-4187. I'll tell you what, I'll even come in as Matt Foley, the motivational Santa Claus. How's that?
That would very good. And he also does a hell of a Donald Trump, too, for all you Trump fans out there.
It's going to be a great, great Christmas. We're going to make Christmas great again.
Christmas great again. Matt Cassane, thank you, brother. But before you go, guys, don't forget the Chicago Music Cruise is less than what? 50 days away. MSC World America, January 17th to January 25th. NTD Vacations, Tony Ocean, the Main Event Band, and Seventh Heaven. 7-night Western Caribbean cruise, Miami, Honduras, Costa Maya, Cozumel, Ocean Cay. Give Mary a call at 630-688-1725 and say you want to go on the ocean with Ocean, or go to ChicagoMusicCruise.com and put in Tony Ocean. Let's not forget Danny Mazzi, Armando Supermarkets, 925 Liberty Street in Elgin, Illinois. Go out and support a great company, folks. All right, we got some, Peter, thank you. The interview was great, and we love talking about different types of stuff. And, Matt, you're great when you're on the show. Anything we talk about. Other big news that just came out, too, folks. Prayers out to great singer in Chicago, Josie Felbo. Get better, Josie. And, of course, Ukraine agreed to a core terms of United States peace deal. WGN just released it. A 4-year war against Russia. We'll see what happens. Another way of making some peace in this crazy world. And thanks to our president, Donald Trump, to try to put a stop to that. We'll see what happens with that. I know I'm going to get more shit on that. Anyway, Eric Carmen tribute concert. I wasn't there, but I heard it was yesterday. I heard it was supposed to be fantastic from all the pictures I'm seeing. I hope they release some sort of document, some DVD or something that we can buy that or purchase that. Guys, tonight we'll be at Positano's in Oak Brook, Jerry Jams and Lisa P. Black Friday will be at, of course, Chicago Prime Steakhouse in Schaumburg. And Saturday, Tony Ocean and the Main Event Band at Bellagio in Roselle. On the 4th, we'll be at the Speakeasy December during the day. Tony O, Bill Saratella, and others, the Fonz, and Wendy Thompson as Marilyn Monroe. Tivoli Theater in Downers Grove, December 4th. Ocean's Rat Pack and Rick Lindy and the Wild Ones on the 4th. Will be in Indianapolis on the 6th at Mad Hatters. On the 13th, Ocean's Rat Pack will be at the Lyric Theater in Blue Island. Yep. and Tony Ocean birthday bash at Taverna on the 27th. I'll be 63 this year. And on Southside Bash on the 28th at JMO's with a live band, Louis Pipes, Felix Greco. It's going to be great on the 28th. And New Year's Eve will be at Avanti Banquets at Fox River Grove. Thanksgiving, everybody. But before we do that, let's got birthdays here for the November 22nd. Martin Scorsese, 83 years old. Jackie Shark, the widow of Tony Shark. Jackie, happy birthday. Estelle Rowley from Good Times celebrating a birthday. Mick Fleetwood turned 78. Jacqueline Smith, 79. Dean Paul, Dean Martin's kid, of course, passed away. Gordon Lightfoot celebrating a birthday. Tiffany Stanton, for all you wrestling fans, 26 years old. Miss Elizabeth, Randy Macho Man's wife, of course, celebrating a birthday. Oh, yeah. WCW, Ted Turner, TBS, 87. The great talk show host, Dick Cavett, 88 years old. Janet Jackson, 79. Richard Pryor, 80. Rock the Cock Hudson, celebrating a birthday. Vince Diesel celebrating. Joe Walsh, 75. Dan Haggerty. Remember they used to have the show with the bear? Anyway, celebrating, of course, Carol Minotti, our good friend Carol, and Jill. Happy birthday, guys. Guys, happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Enjoy. Don't eat too much. We'll be back on Friday for a short show for Black Friday. We're going to do a bunch of different type of jokes that you guys all been sending me in, and then we'll be back on the regular routine next week, guys. And of course, our good friends from Ace Hardware. Ace is the place. Shop local, helping neighbors before they were neighborhoods. Christmas lights on sale, folks. All month long. Outdo your neighbors with strings of 100, starting as low as $9.99, and save up to $150 on Milwaukee Pack House. Save between $50 and $150 on Milwaukee modular back house storage system when you spend $190 or less. 25% off all Carhartt clothes. That's right. Ace is the place. Buy local, shop local, helping neighbors before they were neighborhoods. Black Friday, we will be back, folks. And let's not forget Mama D's Breads. Holiday favors are back. Pumpkin, chocolate chip, cranberry, peppermint, cranberry, apple, banana, blueberry. The list goes on and on. Contact my sister, Natalie, at 847-533-0400. Private messenger on Natalie Bosch, B-O-S-C-H. Jill just bought a whole bunch. These are going like hotcakes. Mama D's Breads, $100. I mean, they start at $11. Let's call stocking stuffers. I'm going all crazy. Matt, thank you, guys. Remember, buy local, shop local, support local establishments, support live entertainment. And if you're offended by this show or any other show, change the channel. And just because you're offended doesn't mean you're right. Always remember that. Peace and love. Get along with everybody. Have a great Thanksgiving. God bless you, everybody. Ringo says peace and love. Thank you, Matt Cassane. Nick Sahajas, the piano man, going to take us out. Bye-bye, everybody.
Time to go, it's the end of the show. See you later from Tony O.
Thank you all, everybody. God bless you all. Have an incredible Thanksgiving to you and your families. Be careful tonight for going out to Positanos or anywhere you're going. Cops are going to be out everywhere. Be careful. Don't eat too much. Happy Thanksgiving.